Hey friends, Shay here. So today I'm here to talk to you about what makes a 5-star read for me. I give out 5 stars more liberally than some people, but there are certain criteria that I do look for in a 5-star read. So that's kind of what I'm going to be talking about in this video. If you have certain criteria that you look for in a 5-star read, please tell me down below, because I like to hear what prompts other people to give a 5-star rating. So the first criteria I look for is like a character I can relate to or that I can at least root for in the book or in the series if it's manga. So I need to care about a character for me to even like continue, let alone to fall in love with it. I need to have that connection. I need to care. I need to have that emotional feeling towards at least one of the characters, if not multiple, because without that emotional connection, I'm never going to give it a 5-star. Like, they can be solid reads and I'll give them a solid 4, which is still a great rating, but they're not going to hit that 5-star level without that emotional connection for me. The next criteria that I look for is chemistry within any romance portrayed in the series. I need to believe they're actually in love or I can't give it 5 stars. Or I need to at least believe they're on the road to love in a happy for now kind of situation, but I need to believe the chemistry. If the chemistry isn't believable, it's never going to be a 5-star for me. Like, if their romance makes sense, it'll get there for me and I'll feel that chemistry. But if I'm not feeling the chemistry, or if one of the characters does something awful to the other person they're supposed to be in a romantic relationship with, unless there's a massive grovel, like, I have a hard time forgiving characters, especially when it's my male lead. The third criteria I look for is I need the writing to not be distracting or offensive in any way. And I'm not talking about like swearing. I just need to not be pulled out of the moment of the book. This happens in sex scenes sometimes when certain words are used. If I'm pulled out of that scene because a certain word is used, then I have a harder time giving it 5 stars. I can overcome this sometimes if the rest of the writing is good, but if this happens multiple times throughout a book, it can never be a 5-star for me. So I don't necessarily need flowery or perfect writing. I don't need it to be perfect. I just need it to not be distracting or to pull me out of a moment. The fourth criteria that I need is I need a good supporting cast, because I feel like with the main characters, if they don't have people in their camp, it's really hard to believe that they're going to come to some of the conclusions that they come to in these books on their own without a good support system behind them. So I really appreciate when there's a good supporting cast. You know, like the best friend, you actually believe they're best friends, or their family is very prominent and their supporting cast. All those kinds of things. I need that. I need that kind of a connection for our main characters so that I can believe they're getting what they actually need out of the situation. Number 5 on the list is an interesting plot. Granted, some of the things that I love and I fangirl about are banging as the plot. So I don't need the plot to necessarily be the most interesting thing in the world. I just need it to have some sort of plot. And I need to be intrigued by it. If I go into something knowing that banging is the plot, I'm usually fine. And that's not going to necessarily stop me as long as I know that's what I'm getting when I go in. But if it's something I'm going into absolutely blind, an interesting plot is definitely something that will elevate it to a 5-star over something that does not have an interesting plot to me. Because if it's pulling me along and gripping me and wanting me to continue because of the plot, then of course it's going to be a 5 stars. Perfect example of this is The Never King by Nikki St. Crow. Did not think I was going to love this book at all, but that plot kept me moving and compelled to know more and to see more. And yes, perfect example of a book that I gave 5 stars because of an interesting plot, characters I care about, good supporting cast, chemistry in the romance, and not offensive writing. Like, those top 5 things are all in The Never King. And I need something that's going to evoke emotions usually. And I've kind of mentioned that in my connection to the characters. I just need to feel something. It doesn't have to necessarily be soft emotions at all. Like, I can be absolutely frustrated at a book and mad at it and still give it 5 stars. So as long as it evokes some sort of emotion in me, I'm more prone to give it 5 stars. Unless it's an absolutely awful, terrible book. Then I will give it a really bad rating. But usually if it can evoke that kind of like powerful emotion in me, it's a 5-star level book for me. And then the last thing I'm going to mention here is a satisfying ending. Now, that doesn't mean that it can't have a cliffhanger. I can still be completely satisfied with a cliffhanger and want the next book, and still give that book 5 stars. The Crescent Cell by Zoe Abrams is a perfect example of this, because that ends on a cliffhanger, but I was very satisfied, and I was still like, ugh, I want the next book right now. But I'm okay with where it stopped, because it looks like for the storytelling arc, that's the only place they could have stopped, which is why I'm okay. And so I can handle like a cliffhanger ending as long as it's a satisfying ending. I don't need it to be perfectly wrapped in a bow, but I need the ending to be realistic for the story. And I need it to feel satisfying, that I'm okay to put the book down and move on to the next book in the series, or to just move on to my next read. And that is just something that I need from a book. Because I know that's not something everybody needs, but if I'm not satisfied by the end of the book, it's hard to give it 5 stars. Even if I'm frustrated and angry because of certain emotions that it's brought out of me, as long as I'm satisfied with where it stops, it can still get a 5 star. So those are my rough criterias for things that I need for it to have a 5-star romance. Again, as I mentioned before, let me know down below what you need in a 5-star romance. If you're here just because you love me, leave me some sort of crown emoji, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Was it all just a dream, just all in my head?